Welcome all to Week 7. Week 6 was a mediocre week at best for myself, but a really good week for Billy B. A quick look back at our Week 6 records, Billy B went an astounding 4-1 straight up and 3-2 against the spread, and I sadly went 2-3 straight up and against the spread. And here's our records on the season. Last week's question of the week asked the viewers, who will represent the AFC West this season and why? Here are my favorites. First up, we have Carl Chalk, who chose the Raiders to win the AFC West, but with the Broncos getting a wildcard spot at number 5. He notes that the Raiders can make great plays when it counts, and Carr has been pretty good this season. Next up, we have David Gonzalez, who thinks the Broncos will represent the West because their defense is still great and Siemian can compensate for how well the defense will play. Well, folks, congrats to those that were featured, and good luck to everyone for this week's question of the week. Let's get into the games. The first game we take a look at is New Orleans Saints traveling into Arrowhead to take on the Chiefs. The Saints put a thrashing on the Carolina Panthers in the Superdome last week, only to let them slowly crawl back into it. The Chiefs, on the other hand, went into Oakland and beat the Raiders in an impressive battle in the pouring rain. This week, they look to take on each other and keep their playoff hopes alive. The series between these two is tied at 5-5, and 3 of those wins for the Saints came in out of 4 meetings at Arrowhead. And Drew Brees' resilience, how can I go against the Saints against the spread this week? I think the Chiefs squeeze out the win, but Brees and the Saints cover that 7-point spread.
All right, I like the Saints +7 against the Kansas City Chiefs, but I like the Chiefs to win this game straight up. The Chiefs are very good at home, but I just don't think that the Saints, who can put up a ton of points, are going to lose by more than 7. They have a great offense. They're rolling. The Chiefs, not as good as defense as they have been in the couple years past, but Alex Smith will make a couple plays. It's going to be a very close game, maybe like a 31-27, something like that. So take the Saints +7, but the Chiefs straight up.
Our second matchup could prove to be a playoff showdown when the Vikings go into the Linc to take on the Philadelphia Eagles and Carson Wentz. The Vikings are coming off a bye week and the Eagles got a whooping from the Redskins. In my eyes, this could be a trap game for the Vikings. Minnesota is riding their defense to an undefeated record, and we all know how well Sam Bradford plays in Philly. In all seriousness, I think the hype that Carson Wentz had faltered in their early bye week, and the Vikings take this one with ease. Their defense should be able to win this game for them.
All right, I got the Minnesota Vikings -2.5 and straight up in this game. This is a game that Sam Bradford really wants to win. The Vikings are coming off the bye, so they'll be fresh. Diggs is questionable, but I think he'll come back and play. The Eagles lost Lane Johnson last week to his 10-game suspension, and that's a huge loss for them. Carson Wentz was under pressure a lot in that Redskins game, and I believe that he will be again. The Vikings have a very good front 7, so I think that the Eagles will have trouble moving the ball on the Vikings. So I like the Vikings -2.5 and straight up.
In the beginning of the season, our third game would have been marked on every NFL fan's calendar, but now with Big Ben's injury plaguing him once again, this should be a no-brainer. Again, another easy trap game as the game is in Pittsburgh, but I think otherwise. I think last week's Miami beatdown was a fluke for both Pittsburgh and Miami, and we all know Tom Brady is the real deal. Not much to say here except let Gronk be Gronk. That dude has so much swagger, just let him play the game and have fun with it. Let's take the Patriots by 10 this week.
All right, I like the New England Patriots -7 against the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't think Landry Jones is going to be able to beat this Patriots team. I think Bill Belichick will go after Landry Jones a lot. They're going to force him to make plays, and I just don't think he'll be able to do that. And the Patriots are on a bit of a roll here. Brady's been great since he's been coming back, so I think the Patriots roll in this one. So take the Patriots -7 and straight up.
Our last game features the Houston Texans on the road to take on the Denver Broncos. The game reeks of storylines, and I'm sure we will hear all of them, including Brock Osweiler going to play his old team that he basically screwed over. Although I can't support his choice as the Broncos are doing well without him. Now, last week I went with the Broncos as an easy win, and I heard about it from a few Chargers fans after the game was over. This week, though, I like the Broncos to win, but Osweiler will make them work for it. I have the Broncos straight up and the Texans covering the 7-point spread.
All right, I like the Denver Broncos -7 against the Houston Texans in this one. Broncos have lost 2 in a row. People are doubting their defense, saying they're not as good. A lot of the defensive players for the Broncos have come out and saying that they really want to step up and play great this game. Brock Osweiler holds onto the ball long. He forces throws, so I believe they're going to be able to force turnovers in this one. Sack Osweiler about 4 or 5 times, I don't think the Houston Texans will be able to score enough points to be able to compete in this one, so take the Denver Broncos -7 against the Houston Texans and straight up.
My upset pick last week was correct against the spread last week, but not straight up as the refs totally mucked that one up, but I won't let that get to me. This week, I like the 49ers to upset the Buccaneers. With the 49ers being home and Kaepernick starting at QB, I think they can do it. With all the political bias aside, Kaepernick is an okay quarterback. The Bucs are coming off an early bye week, which could hurt them as it could throw off their mojo. 49ers fans rejoice. This may be the only time we feature them here.
And for my upset of the week, I'm going to take the Miami Dolphins +2.5 against the Buffalo Bills. I'm going back to the well here. Division game, home dog. They usually come out on top. 2 last week did with the Chargers and my upset last week, which was the Redskins. So I'm going to take the Dolphins +2.5 against the Buffalo Bills upset.
And here is the rest of our picks for Week 7. For this week's question of the week, let's go back to the fan favorite, bold predictions. Post your bold predictions below for Week 7, and if I consider them bold and if they're somewhat true or fully true, you'll get shouted out in next week's video. Good luck, everyone. For this week's Shame Report, let's start out with Ryan Fitzpatrick. This piece of trash just got paid $12 million to throw 5 touchdowns and 11 interceptions in the first 6 games, and now he's on the bench for Geno Smith.
Boo, you suck!
Also, man, these refs in the NFL are bad. There are bad calls, but then there is just blatantly bad calls or no calls in this instance. I shouldn't really be upset because, after all, we all know that Seattle always somehow comes out on top in controversial referee calls.
There's a Wilson loft to the end zone, which is fought for by Tate with Jennings simultaneous. Who has it? Who they give it to? Touchdown!
In the Hatbox Pick'em League, we have 2 new leaders, Cameron Cressamore and Bridgewater's Finest. Stott Sauce lost the lead this past week as both of these new leaders sit in an impressive 61-31 overall. Congrats to them, and don't forget to set your picks by the end of the week. In the Hatbox Survivor Pool, we saw only 6 people lose in Week 6, resulting in 4 more people being eliminated from contentions. Good luck to the last 11 people standing. Out of those still standing, there are only 4 people who have yet to get a strike against them. Our Week 6 leader is our own Billy B. Billy B has yet to get a strike against him and chose the Buffalo Bills, who in turn won by 29 points. Congratulations to him, and don't forget to set your pick by the end of this week. We found extreme success in the last 3 weeks, and we'll look to continue our hot streak into Week 7. I will be starting a few giveaways for NFL and official Hatbox merchandise starting in Week 8, so be sure to follow my Twitter account. The giveaways will be on Twitter only, and is a way to say thank you to those who actually follow the Twitter account. Don't forget to set your lineups in my Pick'em and Survivor pools, and don't forget to answer this week's question of the week. I hope all of you have a great week making your predictions and enjoy the games. I'll see you dudesons in the next video. Peace.